Hello, Facebook Live. I am Dan Rochon, and today I'm joined with a very special guest. I'm going to tell you about him in just a moment, but I want to tell you that I had an opportunity recently to be a guest on his show, which is All In with Rick Jordan, and just a phenomenal show. So if you haven't checked that out, you should. And who Rick Jordan is a nationally known expert speaker, and he's been on NBC, ABC, Fox, all over the place. You can find Rick Jordan, and just a really inspirational person that I know you're going to get a lot of value from today. And what we're going to be talking about today is how to protect yourself in regards to cyber threats and how to protect your business. And that might seem like something like, I ain't got to worry about that. But let me tell you, like, just give this a 2-minute listen, and I promise you that you're going to stay on for the next 30 minutes. And Rick is going to really help us to, he's just an inspirational person. Rick, welcome.
Hey, my man. Thanks for having me, Dan. It's good to see your face again, brother.
All right. My pleasure. And so, Rick, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us who you are.
Dude, who I am, I'm a nationally recognized cybersecurity expert, and I have a best-selling book on ethics. And I go on little-known networks like ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox. Like you said, I've spoken at NASDAQ, Harvard Clubs, West Point Military Academy, Mercedes, Coca-Cola. The list goes on. I actually had the great privilege, even just last week, to be in the White House meeting with the Department of Defense and the NSA and the CIA, consulting them on the cybersecurity and the national security of our great country. It's a lot of fun, man. I really feel like I'm doing a real part.
Let me ask you something, Rick. Now, this is just between you and I.
Yeah.
Are we screwed? I mean, you were there with the NSA. Like, did you find the great secrets? Tell us, like, just between you and I, tell us what you learned from the NSA.
I learned some confidence, or the confidence really is the thing, right? Because I that same intro almost is what I did, but then I piped up and I said, DHS, which is Department of Homeland Security. This is what I said. I'm sitting at the foot of the table. There's 30 people in the room. I'm sitting at the foot of the table with just 6 of us around this big, like, ancient, royal looking wooden oak table. It was just glorious, man. And I'm sitting there and I said, Department of Homeland Security pegs it that only 18% of us actually know what's going on, and that's why I'm in the room. And then I got there was this big erupting laughter, but then it was almost like a sigh afterwards, like, oh yeah, he's right. But it was good, man, because I really feel like whether it's this wasn't like a partisan thing or, a left or right side, whatever it was really cool because really the people that were in the room from the Department of Defense, you're talking vets that are in key places of DOD now, and just people who really are patriotic, want to see good things for our country. So to answer your question, how screwed we are, man, if we keep going down this way, to where we're inviting the private sector in to consult our governments, we're not going to be screwed.
Yeah.
So I think they're really ahead of the curve trying to do that in order to get us in a position to where we're ahead of some other countries, particularly like everyone groups China. And I was talking about this on another show today. Everyone groups China as like a country. China as a country really isn't bad. The Chinese people are actually pretty fantastic. There's over 1 million of them there, or 1 billion of them there. Sorry. The CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, are the ones that we're really looking out for, because those are the bad guys. Those are the ones that oppress their people. There's only 73 million. I know that sounds like a lot, but 73 million out of over 1 billion, you're talking like 6% of the actual whole country is bad. They just use fear and forced oppression to keep the people under control and under that regime. Those are the ones that we're looking out for, and that even this administration is looking out for. So if they keep inviting guys like me in, we're going to be okay. We really are, man. I'm pretty optimistic about that. There's some cool stuff on the table right now.
So, Rick, tell us, what does an average business owner have to, be concerned about?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. I'll start it with this because we're on here for 30 minutes today, right?
Yeah.
In that 30 minutes, there's going to be about 45 active hacks against someone in the United States. And when I say active hacks, I'm not talking bots or anything else. I'm talking real people, social engineering, humans that are trying to get into something to siphon real dollars out. And the average small business, the cost of the hack for them is somewhere around, I think the average is about $258,000. Now, let me put that into perspective, because that's an average, right? The Small Business Administration also says that as an average, the small business owner only takes home like $59,000 a year. So you're in real estate, right?
I am. Yes, sir.
Think about all the agents that follow you, right? When they're selling homes, they are business owners, man. They're 1099s or whatever it is. They're self-employed. They are business owners, which is awesome. Go at it, guys. Go at it, girls, because you're crushing it. Make your own path, blaze your own trail. If you're doing it just for $59,000 a year, it's not really worth it. So that's the group that I'm talking about here, is that if the average business owner can get hacked and it costs them $258,000 and you're really only making $59,000 a year, do that math. That means you're 5 years in the hole right away.
5 years in the hole is not a good place to be.
You got it, my man. And I'm talking insurance claims. I'm talking premiums going up, because I know agents, a lot of things are digital nowadays, man, but people still write stuff down or they type it in a Word documents. It's common because if you're on a call, even like we are, I could be taking notes on like a Google Doc or a Word doc or something like that. And if they're taking, personal information, like they're like in real estate, they're playing sort of like a liaison with a lender to get the deal closed, to get the contract to close, right? And that social security number, even though there's a good trust factor there, just exchanges it and it somehow ends up in a Word document, man. That's done for. That's the stuff that hackers are looking for that go out the window. And now you have personally identifying information that you can get sued for. That's where that $258,000 comes in. It might not be hard money out of your bank account as a small business owner, but it definitely is with reputation and with civil penalties.
Rick, the other day I was looking through some marketing data from my sales team, and there was this really cool graphic of me holding my credit card up.
Yeah.
Right. And it was like a still image. And I don't know. I mean, I must have been doing a video and threw it up, and one of my team members caught it. And it was a really cool looking graphic. But the numbers on the card were exposed.
Right on the front, yeah. Dude, if you're going to do that, use like an Amex Platinum or something. First, it looks locked, right?
Right.
Real pimp, but the numbers are on the back, and it just looks like you're holding a really awesome metal credit card.
Yeah, I was like, hey guys, I love this image. What?
Yeah, right on.
Let's not get that out in the public, please.
Oh man, it's just like a couple weeks ago, because President Trump, he likes to donate his salary because it's awesome. He's in a great position. He likes to donate it to a charity every single month, right? And I remember when they held up, it was the freaking real check that the press secretary held up, or the stub that showed all of the account information right on it.
Routing number.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And cybersecurity, man, and this is part of my talk that I even gave at the White House last week, which got these projects done, is that the biggest and weakest link in cybersecurity comes down to humans. There's a very human component to that. I mean, if it's a human that's from a real estate agent who's taking that social security number to get it to a lender, to get a pre-qualification, whatever it is, it's always the human side that typically breaks down before the tech side does.
So what can we do to protect it so that we don't, fall into that trap of, being 5 years in the hole? Yeah,
I hear you, man. That's a great question too. Try not to gather any from your group. Try not to gather any personal information whatsoever, because I know DocuSign is big in the real estate industry. That's a great component to use. Still, there shouldn't really be social security numbers or identifiable information that's on there from an identity purpose that could be stolen. And I know there's certain things that have to be, and that's the exchange, right? But don't ever, right, store any of that stuff, because with DocuSign, you can download as a PDF when it's complete, right? Don't ever store that stuff on your computer. Never. Because if you get hit by ransomware or something, all your data is siphoned off into wherever that hacker is, and now they have all that information. That's a breach right then and there. So don't store any personal identifying information on your computer whatsoever. Second biggest one that I talk about all the time is using MFA. DocuSign has this too. MFA is multi-factor authentication. I mean, it's this big, long tech word, right? This just really means two types of security. We've been doing it for years with bank accounts. Even before we had, smartphones or whatever, they would send you a text message with a code. That is multi-factor authentication. Have that set up on everything that you do, including DocuSign, because even if it's stored up there, somebody can hack into your DocuSign accounts. I had someone hack into my Netflix account the other day, man. Netflix I don't care about too much, right?
What were they watching?
I have no idea. And then right after that, it was Hulu, because here's what I use, and this is just me, right? I'm in cybersecurity. I use a really stupid, dumb password for things that I don't care about.
Yeah.
I really don't care if somebody hacks into my Netflix accounts,
Yeah.
because it's like a common password that I use. Why? Because my kids log in on their iPad, all that. There is no personally identifying information in my Netflix account except for my email address, which I have control over anyways. But here's where the breakdown happens, man. If I'm a real estate agent, right? Typically, it's something like 78% of people, that Netflix password will be the same as their DocuSign password. It'll be the same as their G Suite password, their Gmail password, using the same password across everything. Now, where I said I use a really stupid, simple password for Netflix and Hulu and all those streaming services, you better believe I'm using 16-character random crap with exclamation points and other special characters and stuff for the things that really matter, because you should not use the same password across multiple platforms.
How do you generate that? Yeah, how do you generate that and keep
Dude,
track of it?
Dude, password manager. I will send anybody in the world to a service called LastPass, LASTPASS, or 1Password. 1Password works a little bit better with Apple devices than LastPass does, but LastPass is still, I use LastPass myself, man. And there is a generator built right into it. There's a Google Chrome plugin. You just tap on it, fills in a password for you. You can set some parameters, how long you always want it to be, and it's just stupid stuff. Dude, I don't even know my own Chase Bank password. Okay. Yeah. That's how secure my crap is, because I use a password manager, and I don't want anybody ever hacking into my bank account for very obvious reasons.
I recently wrote the book, Real Estate Evolution, the 10-step guide to C.P.I, consistent and predictable income for real estate agents. I wrote this book because I have sold real estate since 2007 and developed an immense amount of experience and knowledge. During my journey, I've witnessed hundreds and maybe even thousands of real estate agents fail in this business, and I firmly believe that that's a shame. In Real Estate Evolution, I will show you the exact steps that I have used as a real estate salesperson to sell 1 to 15 homes every single month for the past 129 consecutive months. It took me more than 2 decades to learn the sales and persuasion techniques, and more than 1 decade to master the real estate sales techniques to be able to produce the content that makes up this book. And it took me more than a year to write at a pace of 3 hours every single day. If you're a real estate agent and you're looking for consistent and predictable income in your business, I invite you to get the book, Real Estate Evolution, and you can get that by visiting www.therealestateevolution.com, and I'll even give it to you for free as long as you pay for the postage.
Yeah, so I don't even know it.
We use LastPass as well. I don't know if we use it as effectively as what you just described, and I know that we should. So I can definitely check into that. So that's helpful for me personally, right? Because I may be known for maybe using passwords that are pretty common from time to time.
Dude, it's so cool. Right in LastPass too, they have a function called the security challenge. And they will examine all of your passwords and show you which ones are weak and what you need to change, and even show you if there's duplicates across different sites. It's fantastic, man.
Yeah, that's a good program. So that's a good little nugget there for
$12 a year. That's it. That's all it costs, man.
Yeah. So LastPass is a great little resource there. So besides LastPass, what other technology do you use? What other technology could an average real estate agent or business owner, what
I'll
can
give
we
you
use?
another one, man. And here's something that will actually help your agents put themselves in a great position with their clients. This is one I tell everybody, but especially because obviously you're working with mortgages when it comes to purchasing homes. And freeze your credit reports. I know that sounds stupid simple, but you know how many, it's like over half of America has their credit reports just wide open. And nowadays, so if this is something, imagine this, right? They go for a pre-qualification on a mortgage. And then an agent that's in your audience can just tell their client, okay, cool, we got you pre-qualified. Go lock it up. Freeze all of your reports right now because nobody else needs to run an inquiry, period. Okay. And at that point, their identities are protected. But now it puts your agents in such an amazing position of trust because it looks like that they are looking out for that person personally, even beyond the home. It just establishes an amazing bond. Everybody should always have all 3 bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion frozen, because your smartphone, man, you can download the apps and freeze and unfreeze or lock and unlock just at the tap of a finger. It's amazing. Okay. And there's legislation that was just passed. It used to cost $10 every time you tapped your finger. No joke, to freeze and unfreeze those things. Exactly. Yeah. But there was legislation passed 2 years ago that makes that completely free for all Americans. That is the biggest thing, and that'll help establish your agents in a position of trust with their clients.
Okay, so we can advise our clients to go to those 3 credit bureaus, download the app, and then there will be a button on each of their apps to freeze.
Right on. It's a toggle, just like you're turning like Bluetooth on and off on an iPhone. It's the same kind of toggle.
Okay, tell us those 3 again, just to make sure everyone caught those.
You got it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Equifax, which was the big one with the breach, like 143 million Americans the other year ago. Yeah. Experian is the second, and TransUnion is the third.
Okay, fantastic. So that's something that is an actionable step that will make you a better real estate agent with your clients, to be able to give them better advice once they get the pre-qual in the end. Rock and roll. And
your agents should do it too, just to protect themselves. Everybody should do it. All mine are frozen right now, man. I'm not applying for credit right now. Nobody needs to hit my bureaus.
Got it. And so that's a tactical way to be able to protect yourself as well. Fantastic. Tell me a horror story. What's the worst thing that you've experienced specifically?
Dude, you want me to just tell you one from this past weekend? Because they're all the time. I mean, I see them all the time, for real. There was a client that we got notified about. This is because we're monitoring systems, right? And we see that there was a breach into one of their emails, and it was a human mistake because they allowed it to come in. But it was a client, and this is a trick too when it comes to social engineering. Is, let's say my domain is rickjordan.tv, right? They might know obviously what my name is, or they can look up no matter what business you're in the Secretary of State and find out who the owner is. All right, so they can look at a domain name like rickjordan.tv and do like RLCKJORDAN.tv. Purchase that domain name and send an email to any one of my staff and say, hey, I need you to transfer $250,000, or here's an invoice with the banking information for one of our vendors. I need you to pay him today. And send this information out. This was $150,000, man, that one of my clients just got hit with this past weekend, because whoever was in accounts payable just took that as gold, because it looked like it came from the owner and it looked like a legitimate invoice, and just said, no problem. I'll call the bank. I got the wire set up. It's out to go. And then that owner came back and like, what are you talking about? Who are these people? Right? So those things happen all the time, man. It's so much easier for any kind of hacker or cyber criminal to go the human route than it is the technical route. Because, dude, we got firewalls in place. We got everything under the sun. Now, even though no network is completely hack proof, still the easiest way to get in there is through a human being that just opens the door.
So there was something that happened in our brokerage. This is probably, I know this happened to a lot of the major brokerages, maybe a year and a half, two and a half years ago, somewhere in that time frame, where a lot of the leadership got their phone numbers hacked and then texted the agents, and then would text the agents saying, hey, I need your help. Could you help me out and go get me some Target gift cards or something?
Yep. Or iTunes, right on.
Yeah, and went out to all the agents, and it looked legit, right? It was a text, very similar thing of what you just shared, but just a different vehicle to deliver that. So that's something that we had experienced. How could you protect it? Can you protect on that? I mean, what do you do there? Just communicate to the agent, say, look, if I ever ask you for money, it ain't me. Unless if I ask you for money.
For sure. Out of this, there's processes that you can put in place when you're talking to business, right? So something like that, I was talking about $150,000 over the weekend. But let's just say, you put a stopgap that, as an owner, that anything over $10,000 has to get approved by you. And then that's a measure that you put in place at the bank so that nobody, because there's flow that still has to happen when you have structure, especially if you have multiple agents, you're a brokerage, whatever it is. There's still things that need to be paid that, when you're talking and you're making like 10 million a year, if you lose $8,000 because of some stupid thing, it doesn't sting as much. But if you lose $500,000, it stings a whole lot more, right? That's something that could tank you in those aspects, because the FBI doesn't even touch this stuff if it's under $1 million. They won't even file a case report, man, if it's under $1 million. So when it comes to small businesses, have those other very human aspects and processes and procedures in place, just like telling your bank and putting something on the account. Chase has this, Bank of America has this, a lot of smaller credit unions have this. Nothing over $10,000 or $5,000 or $1,000 goes out of the account without me knowing about it.
Sure. And having like maybe a dual signer so that two people have to sign the check, and then that, you know, if it's a large organization, that way even the owner can't steal from it, like, so that there's checks and balances everywhere.
Yeah, for sure. And that what I was just explaining is really like the digital equivalent to the dual signer. You got it, man.
Sure. Okay. And so for large organizations, dual signer, for, you know, 59,000 that you're making a year, you mentioned that, you know, if you lose 8,000 in your, you know, $1 million business, okay, that sucks. But that, you know, if you lose $8,000 in your $59,000 business, right? That's a big, it's a huge hit. Yeah.
You got it, man. Yeah. With I was interviewing people a little while back, because I do this with clients sometimes. I'll even take in a film crew. You know, I'm a cybersecurity guy, but dude, I love media, right? So I utilize that as a tool. And I take in a film crew and I did just interviews. And it was a law firm, maybe about 25 staffers, and did interviews with every single person in that law firm. And one of the questions that I had on my list was, when was the last time you were hacked? And I didn't ask the question, have you been hacked? Because I know that at some point in time, every American's information got onto the dark web somehow. I know that that's the case. You know, whether you're a victim of Equifax or Marriott or Target or whatever, your crap's out there. It is right now. You know, there's no way to say that it's not. It's impossible unless you're some, you know, like my 13-year-old kid, right? But even probably their email address is out there by this point in time. You know, who knows? When I was interviewing, every time I asked the question, have you got, or when was the last time you got hacked? The answer was always, my debit card number was stolen. My credit card number was stolen. That's what most people equate being hacked to, is something financial. So if we talk about credit cards or debit cards, you know, if you're that $59,000 person, this is good for anybody though, man. Don't ever freaking use a debit card as a debit card. Don't enter your PIN, because once that money's gone, just like that wire transfer I was talking about, dude, it's gone. You're not getting that stuff back. When it's used as a debit, that's just like an ACH, sucking the cash right out of your bank account. When you use a debit card as a credit card, as Visa, MasterCard, whatever, or you use a credit card, which I personally advocate for, you have protections under the FRCA or FCRA. You have protections under that, and you're not liable for any of those dollars when it comes down to cyber crime. So whatever it is, you know, I love you getting the points, man. I have something like 32 active credit cards. It's crazy, right? And there's next to no balances on any of them, but one card will have Netflix. The other card will have Hulu, a completely separate card, all these recurring things, right? Just to keep them active, because this matters for your agents and their clients too, man. Years ago when I was just broke and just...
You already know 87% of all real estate agents fail in this business. And you also know it doesn't have to be that way. If you're a real estate agent and you're looking for consistent and predictable income, I invite for you to get your free copy of Real Estate Evolution, the 10-step guide to C.P.I, consistent and predictable income for real estate agents. And you can do so when you visit www.therealestateevolution.com. I'll share with you your book that I authored to show you the way, and it's free. You just have to pay for the shipping. Thanks.
Dead, you know, no money whatsoever, and my twins were born. My credit score was in the 400s, brother.
Oh,
it
wow.
sucked, because I mean, imagine trying to sell a house that way, right?
That's not good.
Exactly. Right. And that's because I got over 90 days behind on my mortgage. I was laid off. My twins were born. Dude, I had the decision literally to either pay my mortgage or buy my kids formula. Those are the day-to-day decisions I had to make while I was trying to launch this entrepreneurial journey. So at that point, obviously, stuff starts to suffer. You know, my credit score, so I got it repaired, built it back up, and I was like sitting at 760, 770, and I know your agents would love to see that every single time, or any of your lending partners. What got me over 800, and my highest score that I've had so far was freaking 847, right? But I'm always in the 800s across all three bureaus. What pushed me over that was opening up more credit cards, because I understood FICO, and I understood that the more open credit you have out there, the lower your utilization percentage is, which means your score is higher. So if I have like one credit card of $10,000, I can't really go past having $1,000 on there. Otherwise, my score will drop. I'll go past that 10% threshold. If I have $100,000 in open revolving credit, now that 10% mark is at 10 grand. So if I have to make a major purchase for appliances or whatever it is, it's not going to affect my score for anything else that I'm doing. And that's the way that it put me up to that 800 club bracket. And that's another thing that maybe your agents can help their clients with, man, to put them in that trusted position. But it still comes back to, that's why I advocate credit cards over debit any single freaking day, man. You get the reward points, you get the cash back, and you protect yourself from having that money just going away if you get hacked.
You mentioned the dark web.
Yeah.
What is the dark web? Like, how do I get there? Where do I go to get to the dark web?
Okay, for starters, go.
Wait. Everyone listen, because he's gonna give us a big secret, because I don't know what that means.
Yep.
I mean, I think I know what that means, but
yeah, for sure. If you want an easy way that explains it in about an hour long, go to Amazon Prime and search for the movie Cybercrime. It's a documentary that I star in. And the second one is going to be released later next year, which is Uncovering the Dark Web. But I'll give you a little preview right now, because everybody needs to know this, man. The dark web. So we've got the regular internet. That's what we see, right? And then below that is what's called the deep web. And the deep web is sort of like off the grid, but still on the grid. That's how hospitals communicate between each other. That's how like government agencies communicate between each other. So it's more secured, but it's not on, everyone knows what an IP address is, right? It's like your street address on the internet road. That's what it is. So those guys don't have IP addresses. They actually communicate in a different way, sort of like a different connection language. But then even below that, if you're thinking like an iceberg, the top of the iceberg above the water that you see is the internet that we use every day. Below that is the deep web, but the very, very bottom part is the dark web. It's very similar to the deep web in that it's sort of like off the grid, but still using the same physical wires in the ground and all that. That's where just bad transactions take place. So it's like an underground internet. That's really what it comes down to. But that's where credit card numbers are sold. Like that Equifax breach, that's where they all are sold. That's where health records are sold. That's where drug deals are done. Not the physical exchange. There still has to be a physical exchange at some point, but that's where the transactions of all the bad crap takes place.
So we have not evolved yet to be able to do drugs virtually?
No, not yet. Maybe that day's coming, right? Just wirelessly. Where's the Wi-Fi for like marijuana or something? Geez.
So, all right. So the dark web is like this, and so sophisticated criminals understand how to get on there and communicate with each other, I guess.
You don't even have to be that sophisticated. You just have to have a basic level of knowledge. Even my kids who are 13 and 10, if they were taught how to, they could do it right now.
Okay. All right. Well,
it's not very visible, so it's hard to conceptualize. That's really all it is.
Sure. I got you. So it's just sort of like a different transportation device or with a different street address or transportation device.
Right on.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for letting me know that. I'm gonna, now I learned my one nugget for the day.
But the bottom line is that the dark web is really where the transaction takes place.
Okay.
Whatever it is, it's not. If my stuff's out on the dark web, I'm sure that it is. Pretty much everybody's is, but that just means it's out there for sale. You can still do your job to protect yourself, and you should take those measures that we were talking about earlier because your info is out there already.
What is a success story that if somebody that you've worked with that, was just, got ripped off or whatever, recovered it through insurance or whatever, like what's one success story that you've had?
Yeah, man, I'll give you a good one. This one's in my book too. It's one that I love to go back to. It's kind of like one of those pat yourself on the back kind of things, and it's
Tell us the title of your book.
Oh, sure. Situational Ethics. It's actually not about cybercrime. There's some cybercrime stories in there, but it's really about pressures of the outside world that force good people into making bad decisions. And it's usually money is what's involved. That's kind of the premise of the whole book. A client of mine, now I really specialize in insider threats because in cyber tech language, we have something called threat actors, and it's like the type of person that it is or organization that it is, so there's nation states, which would be like CCP from China, which would be Russia, it would be Iran, and then there could be cyber crime or cyber criminals, which is they're just in it for the business, right? And the motivations are different. Then there's hacktivists, they're ideological, they're just out there to make a statement, that's it. But you go all the way down the line, and then the very last one is insider threats. And these are the people that are right inside your office that, you know, like the scenario I'm going to tell you about, have something happen in their life, you know, or maybe they're even just disgruntled and they see an opportunity and they go for it. This is the one that's mostly overlooked because you never think that Joe or Mary that you hire is going to be the one that's going to steal from you, right?
Happened to me once.
Right on, yeah. And until that's the sad part, man, because until it happens to you, you don't think it's ever going to. Just like a car accident, it's like, why do I need this coverage versus taking the bare minimum? You know,
the lady that used to rock my baby when my daughter was my baby, right?
Yeah,
and she's stealing money from me. Oh my goodness. Anyways, go
on.
Man.
It's okay. Yeah, I know we're getting to the end of our time too, but I'll tell it fast. This dude, right? He was a salesperson for one of our clients. He had back taxes. He had alimony that was past due for 3 ex-marriages. He had 2 kids that he owed child support on. You know, so he was in a rough spot, right? With the IRS, with the court system, everything. And he took it was about a $75 million annual revenue company. His book of business equated to about a third of that, so $25 million. Now, with the systems that we have in place, because it's still humanly based, right? We have technology that's in place, man, to throw red flags, but then a human still has to look at it. It's something major, because it could be something that's genuine that they have to do for their job. But when we saw customer records, I'm talking financials, information, history, everything, in large quantities siphoned off a server to this one computer, that's where we started looking more into it. And because we had also put GPS on the company vehicles, we pulled up GPS on this dude's company car, right? And we saw the car parked in the parking lot of their largest competitor. Oh, wow. So this dude, it was very, very clear that what he was doing was taking this information to leverage it for maybe a quick payout or even a higher paying job at a competitor's down the road. That would have been a $25 million hit. So immediately we pick up the phone, because I have a security license in the state of Illinois too, man. I could show up with a badge and a gun if I want to, but rather than just making a phone call saying, listen, we know this dude's at your office right now. If you do this, you're going to be violating, like 27 different laws if you accept any of this data. So what you need to do is just politely ask him to leave, and then we'll take it from there. Now we're not police, but we inform our client, and then our client can fire them. They can, press charges, do whatever else they want to do if they're in violation of an NDA or anything else that they have in place. That's the kind of stuff that we catch, man. That's a huge success story, one that I'm going to be telling forever, because it was right there. And I don't even think the dude was a bad person. He just had a bunch of bad decisions he made in his life, which now culminated into this really bad choice that we were able to stop him dead in his tracks.
Wow, thank you for sharing that story, Rick. If I am a business owner, if I'm a real estate agent and I'm a human being that I want to protect my data and I want to get in touch with you, how do I do so?
Dude, you can go to, my company is Reachout IT. You can go to reachoutit.com. You follow me any of your viewers can follow me on social media at Mr. Rick Jordan. That's awesome. Hey, actually my name's up there too. Look at that.
There it is.
There it is right there. I'm active on Instagram. I'm big into the personal brand like you are, because I just like lifting people up, brother. That's really it. Whether it's business, life, or tech, like we've been talking about today, man, it's just any of those 3 areas is what I love helping people with. But yeah, if you need some kind of protection, whatever it is, or you just want to connect,
sure,
hit me up on Instagram
at Mr. Rick Jordan.
You got it.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Rick Jordan.
Dude, thanks, my man.
Appreciate you.
Give us a thumbs up by clicking the like button below. Don't forget to subscribe to